Why don't I start with my introduction, okay? While we're waiting. Hi, everybody. My name is Aaron Beal. I am a data file author for Lone Wolf Development, which means that I do things like uh, program the new books as they come out. The ACG, which released earlier this morning, a lot of that was my work. I also do some limited UI stuff, design new systems for the Hero Lab system, like the Mythic Rules was one of my big projects, and a lot of the Ultimate Campaign buildings and organizations and stuff. That's what I do. But it may interest you to know that I am not actually a programmer. I am not trained. I started off as a fan and learned this stuff a little bit at a time, asking questions on the forums and getting help from my fellow gamers and fans and stuff. So I'm hoping that if I can do it, that will inspire all of you people. I don't know if any of you do have like programming experience, but if you don't sweat it, okay? You can make it. All right, so this is Hero Lab. You're probably familiar with this if you ever used our product. We're going to be talking about the editor today, which you can access through the Tools menu right here, and then hit Show Editor. That'll pop up this, and you want to start a new data file. All right, so this is our editor. It is set up like a sort of web browser type thing. It's got a bunch of tabs. So if you've ever used Firefox, or I suppose Internet Explorer's got tabs now too, you should be familiar with it. The tabs are set up in groups of tabs things here, up at the top, and then sub-tabs that belong to that group. I'd like to go over a little bit of basic terminology before I get started, which I wish I had a handout for you guys, but that did not make the cut either. So one thing that you need to understand about Hero Lab is that it is made up of things and pics. Things are like concepts. A particular kind of feat would be a thing, but once you add it to your character, it becomes a pic. So all these different sub-tabs, they're for particular kinds of things, and then once you've created the content, then you can add it to your character. It becomes a pic. Each thing is made up of fields and tags. So let's go to an example here. We will make an example feat. Do a new blank one. All right. Fields and tags. Each of these things down here is connected to these up here, these buttons. This is a fields button. This is the tags button, right? As you change things in the central area here, like if you click this, that adds a tag. Tags, you can think of them as kind of like sticky notes. They're applied to things and they define what type of thing that is, and they also define behaviors of that thing. So for example, if you have a weapon, it could have a tag that says this is a two-handed weapon. A different tag would say this is a one-handed weapon. Fields, however, are of two types. There can be text fields and there can be value fields. Both are freely modifiable. This is a text field here. Type in something there, and you can see that this fields button here becomes orange. The field ID, this is the name of the field, and the value is the contents of that field. Okay. Last of our basic terminology stuff is eval scripts. That's this button over here. Eval scripts are how one thing affects another thing in Hero Lab. They only run on pics, So they're only activated, the scripts, once it's added to the character. They can do things like manipulate fields on other picks, or they can apply or delete tags. I think it would be better if we made a copy of an existing thing so you could see an example. All right, so this is a copy of the acrobatic feat. We'll go into copying things in a second. Here's an example eval script. Don't get too caught up on the actual code here. We'll go over that a little bit, I hope, in the post question area. But this is basically saying if we've got skill ranks, if we've got ranks in acrobatics greater than or equal to 10, then add to the add value field, add 2. All right? And then this does the same for the fly skill. This is a check. Like I said, tags can be applied to something to change that. So this is a disable tag. If we find the disable tag for this feat, then don't do the rest of this script. So that would be an example of applying a tag to stop something. And the last bit is basically just adding a bonus to the two affected skills, SK Acrobat and SK Fly. All right, so that's eval scripts. Okay, I kind of jumped ahead of myself in my notes here, but let's talk a little bit about the structure of the editor. We already talked about these groups of tabs up here and the sub-tabs being specific to particular types of content like deities, factions, languages, feats, things like that. The left column here, this is a display of the files currently created content of the current tab. So if you had 6 or 7 feats that had all been created in this file, they'd be listed here with a unique ID on the left and a name on the right. The unique ID is a special code. Every single thing in Hero Lab has to have its own unique ID. That way, they don't conflict with each other. Everything has to have a certain ID, an identity. The name, however, things can have the same name. That's not forbidden. Okay. Underneath the list, there are these 2 buttons here. New blank just creates a new item. Once you've got an item selected, delete or duplicate become available. Delete does exactly what you think it does. Duplicate makes a copy of the current thing. Since this is a blank thing, it made a couple more blank copies. So we'll delete those. The really interesting one, however, is new copy. This is the basis of fiddling around and figuring stuff out yourself, and this is largely how I got started, which is to make copies of things that already exist. You can see some of these are gray and some of them are black. The ones that are gray are from non-core content. One of the things that we have is anti-piracy stuff. Obviously we have to protect our business. So you can make copies of the grayed out stuff. You can look at them and you can figure out how they do stuff. And you can use that in your own stuff, but you can't save a non-copyable thing. So you can't just change it slightly. You'd have to copy the information to a blank thing and then save the new one. Just to make it, it's possible for you to copy everything that we make and then spread it around, but it's not going to be easy. We want to make that inconvenient. So let's look at additional traits. Say your DM wanted to give you additional traits. How does that happen? If you click on that, you can see that it has an eval script. Click on that, and then this is how you would add 2 extra traits. So you could then copy that eval script to your own thing, then use it. So new copy, I highly recommend. It'll save you a lot of legwork. It'll give you some leg ups on making new things. All right. Now the central, well, we'll just leave that up. The center column here, this is the name field. This is the unique ID field. We already talked about those a bit. Uniqueness is how many times can this be added to a hero. If it's set to no, then you can add that thing as many times as you like. Unique and add once are pretty much the same. They can only be added once, but in general, I would recommend that you go with add once. Unique can have some unforeseen consequences when bootstrapping other things. We'll talk about bootstraps in a bit. Summary text, that's the text that's displayed on the Specials tab. If you want to fill that in, you can. The descriptions, that's where you put the description for the particular thing that you're creating. And then this central column here is sort of the bread and butter of the editor. On the left, you'll see some name for this particular line. In the middle, usually, there's either a field value area to type something in, or a button so that you can pick different tags. As I said before, each of these is a different tag. If you click on the question mark, it'll pop up information on what the exact tag is. All tags are broken into two different parts divided by that dot you can see in the middle. F category is the group name of the tag, and then chakra is the specific tag ID. So it's the chakra tag in the F category group. And you can apply these however you like. If we say, okay, now we've got three more tags, F category, F category, F category, chakra, combat style. If you have questions on how a particular line like matters or what it does, there may be more information if you click on the question marks. Not all of the question marks are helpful. Some of them are very general. Other ones, though, to give you some advice on how to do stuff. Let's see. Can I find one that's okay? Yes. Specify the classes levels that this feat counts as for the purposes of feat prerequisites. For example, if you count as dodge for the purpose of meeting feat prerequisites, you would select dodge. So there's an example of a good one that might give you some advice. I would say give a quick skim through and kind of go down and see what's available. Think about what you need for this particular feat. I'm not going to go through all of these lines, obviously. But one that I do want to highlight down at the bottom is the Sources button. If you click on that, you can see what books this particular thing is associated with. In this case, the Advanced Player's Guide Traits and Character Traits Web Enhancement. If you're creating your own content, you can create a new source and then tie all your created content to that, so that when you are creating a character, you can turn on your custom content, or you can leave that off if you just want to do core book stuff. So if you click New Source, OK, you can give it a source name of whatever you want, and test, and then Gibano. Okay, we will give this that, save. Okay, so that's how you would create a new source. After you have integrated this particular thing, you just have to save the file first. After you've integrated a particular thing using the Test Now button, then that source will become available. Basically, whenever you're creating content in the editor, the base program doesn't know about it until you either reload the system or use the Test Now button to sort of weave it into the currently running thing. So now, cross your fingers, you should be able to see your new source, character, configure hero, Aaron test. There it is right up at the top. So you can turn that on, turn that off. And then our new feat that we created will show or not based on that. All right, so let's create a simple thing from scratch. That's the wrong thing. So let's create, actually I do need to pop something up here. Forgive my, open. Okay, forgive my word padding. Copy. Just imagine that was a PDF and much cooler looking. Right, so we're going to create a new blank thing. It's going to be a feat, and we will paste the description text here so you guys don't have to wait for me to type that out. This is a feat that we're going to call Nyuk Nyuk, because I like the Three Stooges. And we're going to give it its own Nyuk Nyuk unique ID. Now, save. Uh-oh, something pops up. What's this mean? Please choose a valid unique ID before you save the record. Unique IDs contain 1 to 10 characters and only letters, members, and underscore character. So I gave this an incorrect unique ID. The program warned me, no spaces. Get rid of that. Save. All right, so let's read our Nyuk Nyuk feat, and then once we've got a sense of it, we can know how we're going to treat the central column stuff. As a standard action, you can create cream pies and throw them at your enemies 3 times per day plus your charisma modifier. Foes hit or blinded for 1d4 plus 1 rounds until they make a reflex save, or unless they make a reflex save equal to 10 plus half your character level plus your dex modifier. You get a +1 morale bonus to attacks while attacking a foe blinded by your pies. All right, with that in mind, let's go through each of these lines. I don't think we need a short name. What kind of feat do you think this should be? I think so. Yeah, you're throwing pies in people's faces. That's pretty aggressive. Should this be a bonus feat for anybody? Do monks get Nyuk Nyuk? Bards? No. They don't have a predefined bonus feat tag. We'd have to do something special for that.
Ranger 2-weapon fighting. Yeah, I was going to say that.
All right. Ranger 2-weapon fighting. He can dual wield his pies. It's not a proficiency group. I don't think it counts as anything. We don't have to worry about army abilities. Spell-like abilities would be if it bootstraps some other spell. That's not appropriate.
Oh, it's got a 10 point shot.
You think so? No. All right, sure. I'm nothing if not giving to my audience. Oh, here's something neat. These tag things here, they also have filtering. So if you type in point, there's like a bajillion different feats, but this will narrow it down to point blank shot. And notice that there's 2 point blank shots. That's because they have the same name, but their unique ID is different. This is the FMI, that means mythic point blank shot, but it just counts as normal point blank shot. All right, we don't have to append spell or anything like that. I'm going to say this is a supernatural ability. So, special ability type, don't worry about that. You want it to show on the attack line? All right, sure. There we go. Boom. Standard DC. Here's another thing about tags. Like I said, they can activate certain calculations. This has a DC of 10 plus half level plus some attribute. That's the standard attribute or the standard DC for a lot of different things. So if we just apply this one tag for dexterity, then it should automatically calculate the DC for us. We don't have to write an eval script for it. Save type, it's a reflex save, negates. Action, we said it was a standard action in the description. We can only do it a certain number of times per day, so we do want to show it in tracked resources, right? And it's 3 times plus charisma modifier. We have tags like for the DC. We can set it up so that you do automatic generation of those stuff. 3 plus attribute modifier. And then what attribute are we using? We're using charisma. And then usage period per day. All right. Does it need an activation? Is there any times where you'd want to conditionally add some bonus? It says we get a morale bonus versus pie-blinded people, right?
Maybe if you had some profession cooking.
Well, I guess that would be one thing. Let's see. Do we have profession cook? Let me see. Here's another neat thing. If you have develop and enable data file debugging on, you can look at things and right-click on them. It'll bring up a list of stuff that you can do. In this case, I want to know what profession cooking's unique ID is. Profession cook, add it to the character, and then I go right-click. The unique ID for profession cook is skprofcook. So you could then use that in your eval script. But I'm going to follow my notes. Not that that's not a great, suggestion. And we're just going to use this as an activated ability. Activated abilities are the ones that show on the in-play tab, like Rage or whatever, that you can turn on or turn off. So if you click this, show an activated ability list, we will give it a name that indicates when we should check it versus pie-blind. All right. And then going on down, it doesn't need any selection stuff, so we can skip over that section. It doesn't require a certain alignment. Let's give it the source that we made earlier, Aaron test. And now we've done everything except for the activation. So we're going to build our own. We're going to build our own eval script, and we're going to use new copy, like we discussed before. What has an activation that you can think of off the top of your head? If you've used Hero Lab. Rage has got an activation. So Rage is a class ability. We go to the class group, class special, new copy, type in Rage. Oh, there's a lot of things with Rage. Okay, Rage. C Barbarian Rage. That's what we want. Okay. Now there's 4 different eval scripts. Let's take a look at these. They can be kind of complex, but it looks like we're in luck. The very first one, it checks for a field called abil active, and it checks the value of that field that it's not 0, then it does something. It applies a tag called hero raging. So that sounds like something that we can use, right? Let's copy this. Copy. Go back to our feat eval script. Boom. Paste that in there. Now, the only thing we need to replace is this particular part here, because we don't want to apply a tag. We want to add a damage bonus, right? So we're going to use a thing called a macro. You'll probably see these all over the place. This is the apply bonus macro. It applies a certain typed bonus to something in a way that it stacks correctly. You want to use this for any bonuses that don't stack with themselves, like morale bonuses, competence bonuses, things like that. Apply bonus, bone morale. Wow, I cannot spell today. Bone morale. Hero.child.damage. And 1. So what this macro is doing is it's applying a bonus. This specifies what type of bonus it is. This specifies what the target is. which is the damage helper, and this specifies the amount of the bonus. So let's pick a slightly better thing. Every eval script has a phase and a priority that it runs in. These control the ordering that things happen. For example, anything that requires you to know the level of the character, the eval script has to be in post levels or later. Anything that requires you to know what the attribute value of something is should be in post attributes or later. And in general, I set things at priority 10,000 in whatever phase they happen in. So, all right, we got that. Save. We try to test now. This is going to raise an error. It's important to test your stuff frequently. That's my advice. Okay, thing invalid unique ID. Oh, we forgot to delete the rage over there. So delete that, and now test it again. If anybody has, if I'm moving too quickly for you, or if anybody has like questions, feel free to raise your hand. The latter half of this seminar is going to be devoted to questions for more detailed stuff, but I'm trying to get through in the first hour just a brief overview of all this stuff. All right, so Nyuk Nyuk should be on the Feats tab now. Let's add it, because you always want to test what you make. Nyuk Nyuk, there it is. It's a combat feat. It's you can see it appears in Aaron test. That's the source we gave. Add it. We've currently got an unarmed strike of +0. Go to the in the in play tab, activate it. We added the +1 damage bonus. Did I say the feat should add to damage or attack? Oh, no, I said attacks. It says in the description, +1 morale bonus to attacks. See, this is exactly why you should test stuff, right? So, happens to the best of us. So instead of going to the damage helper, we want to go to the attack helper. All right, save. Test now.
Is there a table somewhere where all those helpers are defined?
You can see, I'll show you the list of all things that are on the hero, and then you can get information from that. Well, I might as well do that now. Sure. All right, so develop enable data file debugging is the first step. It opens up the lower stuff here. The last thing is floating info windows. You can use these to look at like tags on the hero or picks that have currently been added to the hero. So let's look at show selection fields. Here's a list of every pick which is on the hero. Not all of these are visible, obviously. Some of these are background stuff. If you scroll down, let's see. Let's highlight one that's important. Attack bonus. Okay, that's the attack. We just added to that. And then damage. Damage reduction. Lots of damage reductions. There we go. Damage bonus. All right, so here's two different pop-up windows. The one on the right is for the unique ID damage. The one on the left is for unique ID attack. And if you look, do we have to reactivate the thing? Yes, we do. We activate the pie blind thing, and then you can see for attack, this field right here, bone morale, it's now 1. If you turn it off, then it goes to 0. So that's what happened, basically. All right, so that's a simple thing. All right, So now let's handle modifying something that already exists. Hero Lab is pretty flexible in that way. Let's say that you have a house rule in your game that power attack works differently because you think it's too weak for whatever reason. So what you can do is you can copy and modify the existing power attack and then replace the old version with your new version. So that's what we're going to do. So first, new copy. We want a copy of power attack. Again, be careful of the unique ID. This is mythic power attack. This is normal power attack. Copy that. Give it a new unique ID. Pow at 2. We will alter this. Let's look at the eval scripts. This first one, it happens at post level 5000. It sets these fields, ab value and ab value 2, and it sets them based on the this calculation. The base attack bonus divided by 4, rounded to a single digit, rounded down, and then plus 1. And then the ab value 2 is double the amount that we calculated there. The second eval script happens later at post attributes, 14K. It has a check to see if it's disabled. It has a check to see if it's active. And then it adds to the attack helper and the damage helper the different values of ab value and ab value 2. This is an eval script that I don't expect you guys to know what it's doing. This is calling something called a procedure, which is a set of code which is reusable in multiple different places. They're unfortunately not exposed to the public, so if you have questions on what a particular procedure does, my advice would be to ask on the forums, and I'll answer for you. In this particular case, it handles the disparity between power attack for monks who are using Flurry of Blows because their base attack bonus is considered higher. It was a real pain in my butt, which is why I remember it. And then this last one happens in render 10K, and it sets the name of the power attack feat, the live name field. All right. So if we want to increase power attack's damage and not increase its penalty, its attack penalty, where should we intervene? Which of these scripts do you think would be the first one, where it's calculating stuff? I agree. Good job. All right, let's say, well, this is the field which is added to the damage. It's currently doubled. Let's say triple it instead of doubling. There we go. All right, save. And it's just that simple. Replace the 2 with a 3. Test now. There's one step that we forgot to do, but you'll see in a second. All right, now we've got power attack. Let's add it to our character. A lot of things mention power attack too. Oh, there's 2 power attacks now. Uh-oh. We forgot to replace the old one, right? All right, let's handle that then. Now, we didn't talk about these buttons over here as much. We sort of glossed over them. So let's talk a little bit more about this right column. We already talked about fields and tags and eval scripts. Bootstraps are connections between things, so that when you add the first thing, the second thing also is added. They're only one direction. For example, you could have a class ability which bootstraps the scribe scroll feat. But so that every time that you add that class ability, it adds the feat. But adding the feat doesn't add the class ability, just so you know. Eval rules, pick recs and expr recs. And prereqs, those are all ways of enforcing rules. Things like you must have strength 13 for the power attack feat. As a matter of fact, let's look at the expreqs. Strength 13 required. Here it has attribute value strength greater than or equal to 13. Base attack bonus plus 1 required. BAB greater than or equal to 1. Don't worry about auto adds, gizmo, or minion. Those are advanced things. Or container rec. Here's the one that we want for replacing thing. Replaces thing ID. What you need to do is if you're replacing something, you put its unique ID in here, and then the current thing will replace that. fpow. Is it? Sure.
Will that only do the replacements if your source for this thing is turned on?
Unfortunately not. It is always, the replacements happen right at the beginning of evaluation, so they're independent of what sources are turned on. I mean, if you have this tied to a source and that source is not on, then the replacement happens first, and then this thing, since it's tied to a source, won't show, so power attack will effectively be hidden unless you have your source on.
So you can't take the regular one either.
Right. So if you're going to do that, then you might be better off served by using hidden or preclude, but I'm not going to get into them in this particular seminar. Those are basically ways of tying, hiding certain things based on what source is active. But that's for later. All right, so I think power attack is fpow at, but let's see if that worked. Working off of memory. Uh-oh. fpow at does not exist. Well, let's check to see what power attack's unique ID actually is. Could be power at? Oh, well, you're great. I'm sorry. I will double check. Because I am somebody who has to know for myself. Oh, that's our new feat. Damn it. I guess I should have distinguished their names slightly. All right, I'm going to trust you, man. fpow at what? Power at. Great. See, this is a teamwork, right? Team effort. Everybody having a good convention so far while we wait for this to load? All right. Now, we should only see one power attack. Gods be good. Okay, now there's only one power attack. It's our new power attack. We add it. Like I said, every time you do something, you should test it. Make sure it's working like you want. -1 plus 3. It used to be -1 plus 2. That's the default one. -1 plus 3. Good. All right. And last. Oh, we've only got 9 minutes.
I have a question.
Sure.
If somebody already had that power attack be added, and then they added this user file afterwards, would it automatically do that replacement still?
Yes. Okay. But then if you were to take that file which had the replacement and you gave it to somebody who didn't have the file, it would raise an error that the replacement thing wasn't there.
Okay.
But it wouldn't break your game or anything. It would just
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Where's the script that does the two-handed weapon?
2-weapon fighting stuff. That's interior to like the logic of how we calculate attack bonuses. There's feats that you can put up that there's tags that you can put on the hero that affect those. For example, like double slice, the feat which lets you add your full strength damage on the offhand weapon. That applies a tag to the hero, and that affects the internal scripts which calculate that stuff. But some things are internal to Hero Lab and can't easily be accessed other than through like tags indirectly. All right, so we're going to do one final thing.
Quick question.
Yes.
Max limit.
Max limit. That's the number of times that you can add a particular thing if its uniqueness is no. So, for example, if you have a trait like the bonus traits trait or whatever, the bonus traits feat, you can add that multiple times, but you say you can only add it 3 times. Then you would put max limit of 3, and then once they added it 3 times, it would say you can't add any more of this.
I create some quirky behavior, and I've learned just to leave that one alone.
Oh, really?
From the combination of add once unique and put something in there, I've got some quirky things that happen in there, and I decided to let it be. Max
limit's only supposed to be used with no. So don't use it with add once or unique, because those are already effectively max limit of 1.
So the point is unique and add once different. Is there an actual program tool, or is that just a legacy thing you kind of see through?
There's differences, but they're kind of complex. I don't fully understand them myself. Uniqueness has, like, if something is unique and you have an ability which might add that thing, then the might add that thing behavior causes trouble with other stuff. Like if you have thing A, some class ability that adds the unique thing at 7th level, then you cannot also add that thing through like the feats tab, because it's only existing in one place, and the one that says add me at 7th level is going to prevent it from being added until you hit 7th level, even if you want to add it before then. So go with add once is my advice. All right, so we're going to make a quick race, very quick one. You get your old power attack back by either deleting this, replaces thing ID, and then you would have the 2, or you could just delete the replacement one altogether, and then you would have the old one back too. All right, no more questions. I got to get through one more thing. All right, somebody start the stopwatch. We got 5 minutes. All right, so we're going to talk about bringing some things together, making a quick race, because races are something that's made up of various disparate parts, right? You've got the race itself, you've got a bunch of tags and stuff. They usually come with some racial abilities, so we're going to do that. We're going to create a race called the Bread Golem. Because, yes, exactly, that's the point. Because I like to eat. And we have here the text that I prepared for it. Brought to life by chaotic magic, the bread golem seeks to eat those who once would have eaten it. It's like the Pillsbury Doughboy on steroids. I actually had this monster in one of my games. The dwarf ate his way out of its stomach, which is why All right, so I'm going to blaze through this. Creature type, this is a drop down. Since it's a golem, it's a construct, right? Creature subtype, no, I don't think so. Hit dice, we should fill in. Let's make it pretty tough. 12 hit dice. Default starting hit points, I don't know. There's probably an average number I should put in there, but I'm going to put 87. Set its strength modifier to whatever. It's pretty strong. It's not too dexy, though. We'll give it a -2 penalty to dex. As a construct, it doesn't have a constitution. It's also mindless. 3, 4, and it's surprisingly charismatic because it's delicious. Yes. Click on this no attribute 4. We don't have to do Constitution because its type takes care of that. But we'll put no attribute for intelligence. Normal speed, blah, blah, blah. Bonus feats. Well, I don't think it's in bonus feats.
Yeah.
Sure, you know what? Let's give it nyuk nyuk. It's like the Three Stooges of golems. When you bootstrap this feat here, there's a couple extra things. You can pick whether it's a bonus feat, and it doesn't have to fulfill its prerequisites. If it's one of the feats that has like a target, like weapon focus or weapon specialization, you can pre-select that here. This is all just basically doing, like I said, stuff with the tags and stuff with the fields. When you bootstrap something, you can set it up so that when it gets added, it has certain tags added to it automatically. Just so you know. These are all set by the type. If you wanted to override them, then you could put some stuff in here, but we don't. We want to give it, well, it's made out of bread. It doesn't have a very large one of those. Natural armor bonus. Mythic stuff, we'll skip over. Race type, NPC. What is a CR? What is a 12 hit die bread golem CR? What do you think? 9? Okay, this better be one tough golem.
Yeah, for crust of this type.
Ah, get thee to a punnery. All right. We'll also make it large. It doesn't have any languages, can't speak, doesn't need class skills. All right, so here's another set of things. We need to give it a natural attack, right? Well, since it eats people, it should have a bite attack, and I think its doughy arms would probably be a slam. So we'll give it a pretty small bite attack for a large creature because it's got, bread for teeth. And I'm going to make it slams D12 because I feel like D12s aren't used enough, and I want it to make...
Barbarian, one weapon, agree with you.
Exactly. So one thing to keep in mind for when you're creating monster races is you don't have to reinvent the wheel for all these racial abilities. There's often general abilities that you can reuse. For example, this thing probably has a grab attack, right? Am I in the wrong thing? Racial special abilities. Oops. All right. Probably has a grab attack. So here's all these. There's one called RA Grab. That's the general one. Click on that. And let's give it a target tag of target W slam. All right. And then we also want it to be able to swallow people because, that's fun. Swallow whole, RA swallow. Boom. Now we've just added 2 abilities. You can fill in the description text or whatever if you want. Don't have to. This is racial custom abilities. Don't worry about that. Space, reach, all this stuff, not necessary. Spell casting, it's mindless, so don't worry about that. We should give it a default alignment. It's neutral, because it's mindless. Not an arcane familiar. Don't worry about age, weight, height. Give it our source. Here we go. Now let's make a unique ability to really make our monster pop. This is tastes great, less filling. Man, am I predictable or what?
For certain people, you need to make a save against allergies.
And I have some pre-arranged text here. This ability is a weakness, actually. Any bite attack against the bread golem gets a +1 morale bonus to attack and damage. because he's delicious, right? This is delicious. All right, so there's a whole bunch of stuff here, but we're short on time, so we'll just leave it at that, right? That's not that important. The important thing is that now that we've created this, we can integrate it into the program. Maybe if you hit it with like water or something, that would cause it to reduce natural armor. Yeah, that's a good idea. It should probably have DR bludgeoning.
Double damage with soup.
Soup cannon. All right, now that we've created the ability and we've integrated it, we should be able to add it as a bootstrap. RA task fill. Tastes great, less filling. All right. Boom. Save. Test. What's happening over there? Well, sounds like they're having a good time. All right, now bread golem. Start a new portfolio. Make sure that Aaron test is on. And let's add our bread golem. There it is. You can see the abilities it gets, all this stuff that we filled in. Select. Bam. Now you've made a race. All right. Well, we're about 5 minutes over where I wanted to be, but considering we started late, I think that's good. This is the end of my lecture portion of the lesson. I'm opening it up to any questions. Does anybody want to know anything more about anything?
Do you have a method for selecting unique IDs, or do you just throw one in and hope it's unique and let it mark if it's not?
I tend to do the first couple letters of as many like words are in the name. So for example, tastes great, less filling. That's got 4 words, so I might say RATAGRLEFI. Unique IDs have to be between 1 and 10 characters, so sometimes you're going to be crunched on how much space you've got. But there's really nothing that's stopping you from developing your own pattern. I know a lot of third-party files like to put the name, like the first 2 digits of their company name, like KP for Kobold Press, at the beginning of their unique IDs so that they know what they've created versus what's in the core or something. Yes. That's something that you have to worry about. Since everything has to have its own unique ID, if you by chance create your own unique ID which conflicts with something that we've already got a unique ID, or even if you did it first and then we come up with something that has the same unique ID, then it causes conflicts.
I'll rate you, you can change yours.
Unfortunately, we're the 800-pound gorilla, so we're gonna make you change yours.
Where's the default path so I can take my content that I make and give it to somebody else so that they can, put their character together and just mail it to me kind of.
So you want to know like where the data files are. Right. There's a way to get to it from these menus here. I don't usually go this route because I know how to get there myself. Let's see here.
I have done way too many stupid things not to back up my crap all the time.
Tools, explore folders, program data folder. There you go. And that'll open it up to this, and then you can click on data. And I've got several different Pathfinder folders here because.
Does it have like the same logical name of whatever you name it, or what?
You can create duplicates of game systems and give them new folder names, but if you're just working in the default one, it'll just be named Pathfinder.
Well, I'm saying if I make any custom content, like I've got all my players have Hero Lab.
So what you would do is you
make something like a new race and use it. I don't want them to have to do it on my computer.
Right. So what you do is you'd navigate to the Pathfinder folder on your game, and then you see all these files here. You might not see all these files on your own. I'm not sure which of these are hidden. But you should see the name that you saved the user file under. I saved mine as test. Make a copy of that or put it in an email attachment, send it to your friends. There's also like some publishing stuff that has to do with like the updates thing, but I'm not really I don't really know how people do that. It's kind of like a service where they alert you to, yes.
I've been seeing one of the system things that kind of gets me is overrun of text fields. Even printouts, like templates that are given. A lot of templates, if I want to create characters, they show all the description, if that's on parlay. Is there something that can be done? It's not cool editors to sort of give me an indication of how that field's going to be allowed by the template, or am I still messing with the template to get that to work?
As far as I know, there's no information on like when you're running up against the limited amount of space that you have when you're printing stuff. It's like 3 lines of text, I think, for most things. It's enough for a summary, but the idea behind our default character sheet is not to print every word of every ability, because that would take a lot. Yes?
Related to the saving files, you said you think the Pathfinder from working in Shadowrun, but we then put our files in the Shadowrun folder?
Yes. It would have a different folder, obviously. Come on, this side of the crowd's been quiet. Yeah.
So, he creates a file and then sends it to me. How would I get that file up and running?
You would open the same, go the same route, which was Tools, Explore Folder, Program Data Folder, and then you would open up Data and then your own Pathfinder stuff, and you would add the file to this folder.
And you put it in there, that's it?
Put it in there, and then you'll need to reload the system once, like close, or if you have enabled data file debugging, then you can do Control-R, which...
And if you do it that way, don't you have to go into the editor and activate it?
No. It just has to be... Oh, what's that? Oops. All right, well, let's hope that was a problem with just that file. Okay, good. Yeah, so if you just the test now button is good when you're going like one piece by one piece, but if you're like me and you're working like for several hours at a time building a lot of stuff and you just kind of want to build things and then connect them to other things and then sort of test them all at the same time, I reload the system. That way I don't have to go through individually and test now each thing. That's how I do it. Yes, ma'am.
I've been trying to put in some of the monsters for carrying around in the second book, and I had one monster that had an attack of like a D12 and +6. But when I tried to create it came out with a D12 +4 on the attack.
Probably that monster has like an ability, or maybe it's not spelled out, that its attack is supposed to do strength and a half. And there's a tag that you can apply when you're bootstrapping the natural attack, so that it does it as though it's 1.5. It's called Helper Nat 2 Hand. I think it is from memory anyway. I can do that now. Let's see. Let's try that on our bread golem. Tool, show editor. Open up test. Go to our race, bread golem. All right, so it's got a strength modifier of 8, so it'll normally have a +4, but we want it to have a +6. Open this, find the slam attack, add a tag, helper, Nat 2 hand. Whoa. I am made of fail. All right. So integrate these changes. Do, 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 do. All right. Now we should see the slam attack doing a +6. This is not the right place. What am I doing? Oh, I forgot to turn on our custom source.
Configure here.
I know. You just have to think about it for a second.
You just set that to a default rule.
You can actually here, in case anybody doesn't know. Character configure hero. You can add, whatever checkboxes you want, and then you can hit this button, set defaults. So if you always want your custom source to be on, check it, hit set defaults, and then from then on, every character that you create will have that on by default. All right. Oh, Tikbalong apparently says bread somewhere. It's in its description. Oh, there it is. Bread and honey. Look. Or giving the monster bread and honey. Nice. All right, so let's check. Weapon. Yes, 1d12 plus 6 plus grab. See? Yes.
Can you kind of said this, but finding helpers and then maybe finding, I forget what you call them, macros or functions. How would you know where to even look to find, like, I need a helper macro to do this?
Well, there's a list of macros. If you go to the editor, you can go help and then help on using the editor. That'll open up a website, I think. Yeah, okay. And then this has got a couple tutorials in case, my amazing presentation wasn't enough for you. Clearly not. There's a reference information thing here, which you can click on, and that has some of the useful macros that you might use commonly, like level count, total level count, has feet, things like that. You should also be able to pick up some just from like fiddling around and seeing what's used in similar places. If you have questions, then you can ask on our forums. We've got a lot of very active people there. Just don't ask on our forums while we're here at Gen Con, because we're not there. Who knows what's happening on the forums? People are going crazy there, I bet. Yeah, I guess so.
Easiest for me is if I come across one that I haven't seen before, I'll open up the text file and I'll put it in there with all the other ones I've seen. So that I'll just go back to that file and reference it and say, oh, I can use that.
There's actually a member of our forums who went to the trouble of trying to accumulate his own list of macros, and he has put a link to that in his signature, but I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. So he might be able to help you with that if these useful macros aren't enough for you. Macros aren't the only way to do these. These are basically just like abbreviations. Level count is an abbreviation of counting a certain number of tags on the hero. So you don't have to use the macro if you're not comfortable with it. Yes?
Is it possible to, it's quite easy to create your own macros, but like for instance, the morale bonus. Is it possible to make your own kind of bonus? Like let's say you want an awesomeness bonus.
Unfortunately not. The way that Hero Lab works is the fields which are available on a thing are set up by something called components, and components are bundled together into component sets, and then that's what makes up a particular type of thing. So there's a feat comp set, there's a weapon comp set, and the only fields which are available on weapons are the fields which are defined by the components that are in that comp set. Okay, well, let's see. How about we do a couple more examples? Who wants to make a magic item? we're going to make the most awesome, like, specific magic weapon, I think. Ah, yes. Magic pie. So, equipment, weapon magic, new blank. What do we call it? Sword of awesome? Sword of awesome slaying.
Plus 10 against awesome.
It gets a plus 10 awesomeness bonus.
Plus 10 and the name starts with
Oh, I'd be really screwed. My name's got 2 A's in it.
Sort of awesome playing.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about these things. I know I told you that we would not go over gizmos, but, you know, magic items include gizmos, or at least magic weapons do. So a gizmo is kind of like a sub-container, all right? Your hero is the main container, and it contains like feats and class abilities and classes and all that stuff. A gizmo is a container inside your hero, which contains other bits and bobs. Like for a magic weapon, it would include the material that the weapon's made out of, the base weapon that it's drawing a lot of its stats from. It would include any item powers that you add to that weapon, so on and so forth. So gizmo, this starts off with a default gizmo defined, W-spec magic. And then we need to add a bootstrap for the weapon that we're going to emulate. This is going to be a long sword. Not a long sword, long sword. All right. Now that I've added that weapon to the gizmo, we have component scripts, which are eval scripts which are automatically run for that component, that pull the tags from the weapon that's inside the gizmo and put it on the actual weapon that you're defining here. This is going to be an artifact weapon, so we'll add that tag. It's got the maximum enhancement bonus, all right, 5. Caster level 20. Schools. All the schools. Select all. There we go. Huh? Pink? What'd you say?
I wonder what School of Magic K Pink is.
K Pink?
KP, the third one down.
Oh, that's KP means Kobold Pressed, and they have a sub-school called Ink.
Oh,
And another one called Illumination, and another one called Clockwork. That was in Deep Magic, which just like came out last month. That was another pain in my butt. But now we've got a sword for it. But I just want to say the Kobold Press people that I was working with were very diligent and worked very hard to meet my stringent standards for publishing a book in Hero Lab. And I think the Deep Magic files that we put out are very good. So, no disrespect to the KP people. All right. Let's add a material.
It's got to be adamantium.
Adamantium Rage! Spoony fans will know what I'm talking about. Weapon powers. You guys are gonna break the system. I don't even know what's gonna happen, but we'll see.
Oh, it's treasonous. That's helpful.
It's 148 powers. Show and special. Here's what's so awesome about it. It has every power ever.
This was made by Red Road Makers, right?
They do get bonus meta magic feats. You know what? I don't think I need to do anything else after that. Let's just see what happens.
I wouldn't miss on it though, because if it has the backbiting enchantment.
Backbiting is a curse. It's not one of the item powers. It's a different thing. The Hall of Monty? I think you would. Sure. You know what? We just have to set the default size to large, and then we will add a large Sword of Awesome Slaying. Sword. Oh, artifact. It's an artifact. It is by definition priceless. Wow, look at that. Its damage is apparently so big that it went away. I'm sure that that's one of the powers that lets you throw your sword, right? It's like a tactical missile. You just draw it and point it, and it goes.
Yeah, give it time to stay on the next season of One Piece.
Isn't that the show with like the giraffe guy?
Probably.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, that's a lot of specials.
Yes. All right, we haven't equipped any. We have to equip the weapon to see what all those specials are. Well, yeah, okay, sure.
Oh yeah, I might as well get the most out of it.
Yeah, you know. Go full hog. Lots of immunities.
How do you kill the guy?
I assume you disarm him of the Sword of Awesome Slaying, and then use the Sword of Awesome Slaying on him.
Because he can attack underwater, which is ironically something that Red Golem would probably not be able to do.
I know, but it doesn't matter. Do you want me to give it proficiency with swords? We can do that.
Are you sure it's not mystically enchanted to automatically get proficiency? Yeah, that's what
I can do that if you want. We could make a custom item power if you want. All right. So let's do that then.
He's got everything else in there.
We'll see if my battery lasts. 19 minutes, 17%. Uh-oh. Okay. So this is the magic tab. It's got things like spells, spell schools. This is not where I want to be. Never mind. The equipment tab has item powers.
That was a useful tab, but we're not using it.
It's a wonderful tab, well put together. Autoprof. Curses.
I wonder how many negative levels you take for it, considering it has everything. You would almost have to.
How much do you think this should cost? I'm going to say 400. It's not that much, right? It's 400 gold pieces. So let's here's we're going to close this portfolio because it's silly. Here's something that you will be useful to you. Add something, and then we've got enable data file debugging. Right click, show debug tags, and then you can see a list of the tags on this particular thing, and you can see what happens when you equip or unequip it. When you make some change to something, you can see what tags are added or removed. For this particular thing, we want to know what is the tag that grants proficiency in a particular weapon. So let's add something that doesn't get too many weapon proficiencies. Let's add a... Sure. Geek the Mage, everybody. All right, so Fang file we're not proficient in. Dagger we are. Show the tags for dagger. All right, now we can compare the tag list on the Fang file with the tag list on the dagger and see if it's, yeah, well, thanks for skipping right to the answer there. Good. All right, see, as you can see, there's helper proficient on this tag, on the dagger, but no helper proficient on this. So helper proficient is what we need to apply. So eval script, let's make a copy of some other eval script which affects its weapon up top. Like, what's a good one? What's the one that adds extra damage?
Pain?
No, like extra base damage. Like bashing for shields, or impact. That's probably it. Yeah. HI impact. All right, so you can see that this is doing some unusual things, right? This is because it needs to transition to the container before it can affect that container. The item power is not actually the weapon, it's inside the weapon, right? So we will copy a portion of this. Copy the portion that, well, that's not the portion we want. That's Bull Rush. Where's apply damage up? There it is. Okay, it is actually the portion we wanted. And then we look at the phase and the priority. It's pre-levels 10K. So let's choose that for our thingamajigger. Pre-levels 10K. Paste. All right. So this is basically checking the parent to see if it's a normal weapon rather than like a simulated weapon. There's some weird instances where it might be added to something which is not actually a weapon, which is what this deals with, but we're not going to worry about that. So we're going to replace helper damage up. We're going to apply helper proficient instead. Okay. Save, delete, impact, and then test now.
Yeah, if you work out how to make you auto proficient for 400 gold, you just retire from adventuring. Just sell those weapons.
You know, why doesn't Lex Luthor, sell his technology, right? He wouldn't have to worry about supervillainy then, right?
By Wayne Why do you think they're both rich?
All right, so let's find a nice big weapon, one that you wouldn't expect the wizard to have. I like great axes. I love axes. All right, not proficient. We have to make it +1 because, you can't add things. Auto-prof, here's our thing that we did. And there we go. +1 auto-prof great axe. We are proficient. There is no X thing there. And our wizard can run around with his great axe.
Wizards use two-handed weapons. It makes it easier to stab them to get off the spell.
Back in 3.5, there was a spell that lets you basically release weapons as dancing weapons, but they had to be strapped to you. And so one wizard in my campaign had a pair of great swords that he had on a quick release thing, so he could cast a spell, pull the things, and then he had 2 great swords flying around him. This was not a PC, by the way. This was an NPC, and the dwarf cleric ran through a wall of fire and then ran into this guy's whirling great swords and died. It was sad. Poor guy.
Can you show us your weapons again?
Sure. All right, so the important part is that it is it's transferring to the parent, which is the containing thing, and then it's checking for, is there this tag, the component base weapon tag? If it is, because 1 equals true and 0 equals false, then perform apply to the parent this tag helper proficient. Sure.
Just start cranking that out real quick.
Definitely interesting that you tell the weapon that the hero is proficient, and you don't tell the hero that they're proficient in that weapon.
This is for a specific weapon. This is saying we are proficient in the weapon that we are right now.
Now, that makes sense.
Yeah, any other great axe is not proficient.
I imagine it would be different if you were programming, say, a subrace for Kenku, because they have that ability that any bladed weapon that they pick up, they're on.
Which is very, very vague. And we've had lots of reports about, what about this weapon? It's bladed.
You didn't write it.
Not my fault. I had one guy who was really upset that druids could not wear studded leather armor because he was like, well, they're not forbidden from wearing any metal. What about buckles? Like, it doesn't say druids can't wear buckles, so therefore they should be able to wear studded leather armor.
I don't know. That depends on what you're doing.
You have to use twine.
No buckles. Make them out of something else.
Who wants to see anything else? Challenge me. Give me a tough one. Yes.
What about making a system other than Pathfinder?
Yeah.
Making your own custom system? That would be something that you do with the authoring kit rather than with the editor. That involves a lot more like setting up the components and the component sets. It has to do a lot with setting up unique user interfaces, like setting new tables on new tabs and things. That's not something that's within the scope of like the editor. There's a separate system for the authoring kit, and we do have a wiki, which I don't know if I can access here. Authoring kit wiki? No, I don't have internet. But there's an authoring kit wiki which will get you started, and it'll guide you through how we created, I think it was 4th edition or Savage Worlds, one or the other.
4th came with the authoring kit.
Okay, so it was probably 4th then.
How do you get the authoring kit?
It's just another package. So if you're initially buying Hero Lab, then you can select it for your first package when you pay $30. If you want to buy another game system like the authoring kit, those are $20 each. Are people interested in making their own game systems? It's quite an investment of time, but it's very rewarding. I managed to, like, one of my big projects was doing the Spirit of the Century files for Fate, and that took me like 2 or 3 months. And that's a relatively simple system. My advice, step by step, a little bit at a time. There's a guy on our forums who's doing 2nd edition D&D in the authoring kit. Blast from the past, right? That's what I started on. Well, it looks like my laptop's about to give up the ghost. Now's your last chance, everybody. Da, 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 da. The most complex thing? Like system? The mythic rules were a big handful, especially doing like mythic monsters. I'm still not completely happy with how that turned out. I also did the army system, like from Ultimate Campaign where you build armies, and I'm not as happy with how that turned out either. There was some conflict on like how we wanted to handle that, and so we sort of compromised, and it didn't work out well for either of us, I guess.
Well, you covered really well how to do a monster. How about like classes? Like how difficult is it to create your own custom class?
Classes are pretty much the same thing as monsters, in that you define the thing that is the core class helper, and then you define the class abilities, which are bootstrapped to that. And then if it's got some custom abilities like barbarian rage powers or something, then you can create those. The only additional thing that you need to worry about is you have to set the custom abilities to work with your class. So for example, if we do custom ability, we create that. You have to go available to classes, and then you can pick your class that you created on this list, and then that will make it available to your class.
So you don't want to create the class first, so it was in the
You
list.
do want to create the class first, so it's in the list.
And then you can select it. Thanks for watching our Gen Con 2014 seminar, Hero Lab, Intro to Adding Your Own Content. Be sure to explore the other videos on our channel, and make sure to check out Hero Lab at www.getherolab.com.